Short film is like a haiku. In today's episode, let's discuss what is a short film, where can you access it, how is it different from a feature film, and why do we like it short? Let's discuss it in this special edition of Entertainment Cube. We call it EC Perspective. Haiku is a very short Japanese poem. It has 17 syllables and 3 verses. Typically, a short film ranges anywhere from 5 minutes to 30 minutes. 30 minutes is the standard cap that the Film Association has kept for a short film. Sometimes or some places you may find it extended to 40, but that's like the outermost. Ideally, it's less than 30 minutes. My first interaction with short film happened in 1998. Atom Films was the site where I would get my fix on short films. They used to have short films anywhere from 1 minute to 3 minutes to 5 minutes. And what I find really intriguing, interesting, exciting is how can one convey a message in a minute? I know Maggie being talked about so much, cooked in 2 minutes, but we all know it takes nothing less than 5 to 7 minutes to have the entire thing. And here you're talking about the entire message being conveyed through the visual medium in 1 to 2 minutes. In fact, most of the Salman Khan films do not convey anything even after 2.5, 3 hours. Now, I know that the Salman Khan fans would not like it, but yeah, that's clearly it. Whereas there are some really powerful short films which would cover a good amount of message in as short as 5 minutes. So yeah, coming back, what is a short film? Clearly, as I said, any film that is less than 30 minutes would qualify to be a short film. What are the critical elements if I was to kind of talk about it? And I would like to kind of talk it from 2 different perspectives. One, from us, the viewers' perspective, the audience. What are the things that we like about it and why do we like it rather? And the other is from the creator's perspective and what do they like about it, because we do have some big name directors coming in. There are some channels who are especially producing the short films. There are film festivals like Umami Festival or even Cannes and Oscars now having a special category for short films. So what's the reason for everyone giving that attention or due importance to short films? And last but not the least is where can you access it? And I'll give you some really good channels that I subscribe to and regularly follow. I have been talking about some of the short films and reviewing them, but here, if you're like me and would like to access all the things that are possible, please go ahead and subscribe to those. So let's actually start our discussion with the perspective, as I mentioned, from audience. What do we find really interesting and exciting about it? So first of all, as I could say from audience, most of us are looking for what is now called as distraction viewing. So we have a short break, we are having a smaller commute, traveling from home to work, in the train journey, wherever. If there are short and quick videos that are available, 15 minutes, 20 minutes, which are entertaining, engaging, I would like to indulge into that. And that's clearly what a short film does, and that's a gap it fills. I know that is a comparison that one can do with the short film and the web series. So that's something which is for a later entertainment cube perspective discussion. Another episode, I'll definitely talk about that from my view. But for today, if you were to focus, clearly it's a smaller viewing, which is 5, 10, 15, 20 minutes, and that kind of covers the gap for us. Second point is majority, I would say most of it is free. I haven't seen any of the short film require payment. There are a few experiments that have been done where some of the mediums have charged as little as 5 rupees or maybe around 10, 50. But yeah, clearly, a majority of it, as I would say, is totally free. And you know what attracts us the most, right? The word free. The third one is the convenience of watching it anytime. Now, I know that most of us we would be able to access some of the popular movies also using some of the streaming platforms on our mobile. But yeah, clearly this one is also a convenience that I'm looking at, that I can watch it anytime. The fourth one, and a very important one according to me, in terms of films, movies, clearly there are different camps, there are different choices. So there are people who are Khan fans. So there's a Shah Rukh Khan movie and there'll be a huge fan following. There will be a Salman Khan movie, there'll be a huge fan following. Amir Khan, and so on and so forth. Clearly, there would be others who are, let's say, Dharma production fan, or there are people who are Raju Hirani fans, and those movies would get attraction. Here, in case of short films, one, it is the topic, the theme on which the movie is done attracts the attention a lot. There's a good amount of personalization, association, relatability that comes into play. And two, nobody is there to question your choice. There is clearly a freedom of choice that one has. That's the whole benefit of web, the way we are. And I can be free to make any choices. And the fifth and the last benefit for audience perspective, as I would say, is the instant interaction that happens in most of the cases. So if you're viewing it, clearly you can comment your view, perspective, question on the social media. It can be Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, Instagram, whichever places the creator is available and willing to listen, and you can have a healthy conversation. I'm not talking about trolling, I'm not talking about abusing, I didn't like it, hate, review. Those are generic things that can happen anywhere, any place, any medium. But I'm talking about clearly if you want to basically connect, associate, relate, and provide constructive feedback, something you felt, there is a takeaway that you had, these channels do provide it. I have had those kind of interactions with the makers on Twitter. So yeah, clearly I can see that that's making it more and more accessible to the creators. Otherwise, so far, if you were to talk about a feature film, these people are God, and you don't see them in real life and coming in front of you and listening or talking to you, responding to your request. So yeah, that's from the audience perspective. Now let's talk about the creator perspective. One of the biggest thing and the element that a creator would consider for the success of a short film is the 3 C's, as I would say, which is crisp, clear, concise. Most of the time, the budget is really tight, and that's where they have the clear way, or I would say it's a great way to practice filmmaking craft. So the first benefit, as I would say, or the first clear purpose, objective that a creator would see is I would have a great way to practice the art of filmmaking. What I've learned, I can put that in practice, considering all the limitation, restrictions, or boundaries that I have. And the key boundaries I said is it could be a tighter budget or the overall resources that are at his or her disposal. The second one is clearly the freedom of expression. The medium, as of now, is not very much controlled. That does mean there is some bit of pollution that's there. People are using it and as well as abusing it. There are clearly semi-pom films, really some of the crappy subjects and crappy stories also being made. But clearly, there is no push enough, or it does not block the medium, unlike some of the movies that released during Diwali, Eid, Christmas, where you won't have any other choice of entertainment. Here there is a plenty, and hence it's not restrictive. You don't have to move your movie release dates because someone else is releasing his or her short film on that specific date. So yeah, that's the other clear thing, which is the freedom of expression. That leads me to the third benefit, which is allowance for experimentation that this medium allows. In fact, this medium encourages experimentation to a great extent, and which is where I see a good amount of stories which may not come on the large screen are being created here, and they are getting some rave reviews, good success, and definitely imparting a good social message. The fourth one, as I would say, is some stories, according to me, do not lend itself into a full length films. The stretching kills. I mean, ideally, if you watch any of the Salman Khan films, or so much so, I would say earlier Govinda films, David Dawa and Anis Bazmi, any of these directors, ideally, the films that they have made do not lend itself into to a 2.5, 3 hours of length. It's the complete stretching that kills, and for that they have to create subplots, a convoluted storyline, multiple characters, and that clearly kills our interest in the entire viewing. So that's clearly, from my perspective, an overkill. While you are getting the budget, does that mean you have to utilize that to create something which is not serving the greater good? And I'm not talking about a social message, I'm just talking about entertainment as the purpose here. So yeah, for me it's clearly something where, are you giving the value for money, the money that's been invested? Are you giving the value for money? If you were to do the same thing in 5 minutes, 10 minutes, will you give that value? Will the person who is viewing it feel satisfied? Now, that's the most important thing that a director, a story writer, a screenplay writer needs to consider, which unfortunately is not a key consideration for some of the people. What's the sixth one? There are multiple avenues and platforms. I don't have to worry about big name distributors to distribute my film. I don't have to worry about the dates. I don't have to worry about the movie theater availability. My film can be screened through multiple mediums. In fact, not just YouTube, Vimeo, or Daily Motion. There are many other platforms that are available. As I mentioned, there are companies who have made some of the paid versions also to get a revenue. But companies like GeoCinema, Netflix, or for that matter, Amazon Prime, they are also picking up some of the good and really popular short films and streaming them on their platform. So clearly, yes, if you create a good content, there will be a platform that would be available to you. So there is no going back on that. The next benefit, as I see, is there is a low entry barrier for this kind of a medium. One can shoot a movie on a good mobile phone, which has a very good camera. I mean, there are so many movies that are being shot on iPhone or OnePlus or other good camera phones. So yeah, you don't need a really expensive camera to be deployed for this kind of purpose. It can be done with your mobile phone, which is the most handy thing. In fact, Mami Festival had a special category, which is films that are shot with iPhone. So yes, there is a good amount of support that's available, and the entry barrier is only the thought, the story, the concept that you come up with. That brings me to the next benefit, which is content or story is the queen. Yeah, you get the right storyline, and there will be an audience available to applaud it, to view it, and to basically make it viral for you. You don't even need to think twice about that. That brings me to the next one, which is virality is much easier in this medium. If you talk about movie, it has to spread through word of mouth, and the good movie has to sustain. Movies like Shan, which is now considered to be one of the cult classic, was not successful on box office. Sholay was brought back to box office after it gained some popularity. And there are many more examples in Bollywood's history where the movie has not done well, but now while we are watching it online or through different mediums, it's considered to be really good. So the movie didn't get its due. There is nothing like that if you consider for short film. In fact, virality is so much. At times, people just spread it like crazy, and all of us are using the social media so well, and short film make it perfect for sharing it through all these mediums: Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Pinterest, Snapchat, any medium you talk about, you can just, with a click of a button, you can share it, and that gives it a massive exposure. A film like Chutney registered, I would say, 1 million views within, I would say, 1 to 2 days. That's like a big record, and that movie crossed 20 million views till date, which is like a record for the short film in the Indian history. So yeah, that's something which is really good. Virality is much easier. The next one is about the whole medium. As of now, the medium is still evolving. While there are some really big name directors that have come in, like Anurag Kashyap, Sujoy Ghosh, Imtiaz Ali, and many more has entered and created short films, but the medium is still very raw, and the whole thing about experimentation, people are more than happy to do that considering the audience loving it. The next benefit, as I can see, is you have to be really good at your art, because Short film doesn't allow you to settle down. Most of the times, the films take around first 10 to 15 minutes to just settle in the characters. Whereas here, without the ability to explain all the aspects of the characters, you need to make sure that their actions are justified. So that's a very important point from the maker, the creator perspective. And that also allows them to get instant feedback. As I said, from the audience perspective, you can interact. From the creator, the writer, director, actor perspective, also, you have the advantage of getting instant feedback that gives you a great amount of freedom, choice. So yeah, that's another big benefit or advantage if you were to consider. And last but not the least, from the short film's perspective, clearly, as I mentioned, it's the content that rules. So you have big name stars or directors that can draw the initial crowd, but the longevity of the movie or longevity of the short film lies in a great story being told with simplicity. That end of the day rules the entire thing. So that's my perspective from the uh, creator angle. I would tell you five big channels or creators, as I would. I'm sorry, the producers from short films perspective who are really doing well in the Indian or mainly the Hindi short film scenario. The first and the biggest one is backed by Royal Stag. It's called Large Short Films, and there are a good amount of films that I have reviewed from Large Short Films channel. So you can refer to the previous podcast episodes and listen to them. And they started out, and according to me, the first contest they held was back in 2014. Obviously, they commissioned some of these big directors like Sujay Ghosh, Imtiaz Ali, Anurag Kashyap, or Neeraj Pandey, and others to make short films. But yeah, they clearly had a contest that was held in 2014 for the common people to encourage this and get more movies for their channel. The next one, which is popular according to me, is Hamara Movie. Hamara Movie has also been active for a while now. They have been getting people to produce films for their channel. They get the sponsorship, they get some of the regular funding, and then they in turn fund films anywhere from 50,000 to 8 lakh rupees for the making. Obviously, large short films did not reveal or disclose any such amount, but clearly you can see from the movies that they have released, there are good budgets that would have been made available to the creators or the makers. The next one I can think of is Terribly Tiny Talkies, TTT. And they have been doing something really good in the short film space. Most of their short films are from 5 to 10 minutes, and they convey a fantastic message. In fact, Terribly Tiny Tales is the main brand. They have some fantastic poems and other short messages format also that's been created through their channel or medium. The fourth one in the list, and as I said, this is not made in particular popularity or any other order. This is the way, let's say, I interfaced or interacted with these channels. The fourth one, according to me, is Pocket Films. Now, Pocket Films also serves as clearly the medium where there are multiple languages film that are released. So you have Hindi, English, Bangla, and other regional languages also being created. So it's a very good curator from that aspect. And it does create those teasers and other mediums. And some of the pocket films are also screened at some of the film festivals. So that's Pocket Films, who also works on the medium of getting the promotions, getting the external funding, and then supporting the producers for the production. The fifth one for the list is Natak Pictures, and I've seen some good films coming out of their stable too. So yeah, these are the five short films channels. I have put the links in the description. This episode, as I said, is very different. It's something that I have broken down into two parts, and you will get to derive a lot of value in the description also. If you are listening to this on YouTube, please check the notes section. If you're listening to this on podcasting sites, please look at the description. I have listed my top 12 short films. Now, once again, it becomes really, really difficult to pick any of the short films, and which is where I'm going to keep this list alive, growing, and clearly I will keep on adding short films through that. Once again, these are the short films that I discovered through the medium, through different channels that I'm subscribed to. There are multiple other channels like the Shortcuts, Some Like It Short, and multiple channels that are available on YouTube. GeoCinema has also got specific sections where they put in the films, the short films that made it to Geomami Festival, so you can view it there too. This episode is clearly focusing on Bollywood, or I would say the Hindi short film. So if you have really loved short films from other languages, please reply to me, put in your comments, and send it to me. It took a lot of research and effort for me to create and compile this episode. Unlike the review that I do of a web series, a music video, a short film, or a stand up, where I watch that and tell you my view, this one involved a lot of research, going through multiple mediums and finding out and putting down my entire perspective in front of you. So I would really love if you can comment, if you can share this with your friends, and if you can give a rating on iTunes or any other podcast medium that you are listening to this on. As always, your comments are really, really appreciated. I'm going to also share with you channels, and there are 3 of them, in fact, on YouTube, which will give you our regular Bollywood films in a short span. So, how would it be to watch Jab We Met in 15 minutes? How would it be to watch Yudh in 30 minutes? So, yeah, clearly there are channels like Shimaru, Ultra, and others who are having a dedicated channel on YouTube where they have created a highlight, if I was to use that word, of a film which you can watch completely in 15 to 20 minutes, which is by Shimaru, Movies in 15 Minutes, or the Ultra channel gives you to watch the movies in 30 to 32 minutes. Obviously, they have the rights, so not all the movies would be available, and this is clearly for Bollywood only. So yeah, that's today's episode. Please give me your comments, share, subscribe, and as I said, a lot of hard work has gone into this. So please send me your feedback. You can reach me at entertainmentcubehq That's Entertainment Cube home and question, H for home, Q for question, at gmail.com. Thanks again for listening.